Hello, friends. Your boy Jeff here. We're back in the spin zone. Um, like I said, been a while since I've made a spin zone. Been a while since I've listened to enough records to justify one. But I have 10 here today to show you. 10 most recent albums that I've played. Without further ado, over the last maybe 2 to 3 weeks. This is an EP that I got as part of a trade I did with Hannah like a month or two ago. It's by the Jam, The Bitterest Pill I Ever Had to Swallow. Love the Jam. I have about half of their albums on vinyl. I need to just go ahead and buckle down and try to get all the rest. So I have their catalog like Hannah does, because I think she has all. You have all the Jam albums, don't you, Hannah? Yeah, this is an EP from like 1982. 1982. Okay, so it's towards the end of their career, but the music is pretty stellar because it's the Jam, and I adore them. So thank you, Hannah, once again. That was a great listen. Got this from Goodwill for $1.50. It's Bobby Gentry and Glenn Campbell. Bought it mostly because of Bobby Gentry, because I'm a fan of hers ever since I listened to the Delta Suite reissue from earlier this. It came out last year, but I didn't actually play it till this year. Cover was still in the shrink, so the cover is in really great shape. The record had no inner sleeve, but visually it didn't look all that bad. And chalk it up to the great record production from the 60s. I did a cleaning on it, and it ended up sounding pretty darn good. There were only a few little clicks and pops here and there, so turned out to be a good buy from Goodwill. Musically, like I said, I bought it more for Bobby than Glenn. You know, they kind of split the vocals throughout the album. It came out in 68, and it sounds pretty much like an album that was produced probably, I don't know if the Wrecking Crew were on this album or not, but it sure sounds like it. Not that that's a bad thing, but if you hadn't have told me the date of this album, I would have guessed probably late 60s, 68. So worth having, in my collection. I only have one other album, like I said, of Bobby Gentry's. I have a couple Glenn Campbell's. Not as big a fan of his as I am of her, but still turned out to be a good purchase for $1.50. My buddy Tim gave this to me for Christmas as VCLT, and I've been saving it, and a couple weeks ago it felt like the right time to play it. It's a radio broadcast, FM concert from 1987 in Philadelphia. Blues You Can Use, and the sound on this is just stellar. I know in my last Spin Zone I showed a Robert Cray radio concert that was put on vinyl. Emma picked it up. The sound on that one was stellar. This is just as good, if not better, because it's Stevie, and he smokes through this set. Really great stuff. And if you can find it, if it being, if you think it's, because it came off the radio, it's going to sound like crap. This one doesn't. This one sounds fantastic. In fact, I have another Stevie Ray radio concert on vinyl from '85, which will probably show up in the next Spin Zone. But once again, my brother Tim sent this to me. Thank you, Tim. This is fantastic. And since I've actually been kind of semi-collecting as many of these as I can too, these bootlegs, just because it's the only way you'll ever get anything new from Stevie that you may not have heard before. Even though they're all live performances, they're all a little different because of the way he plays guitar. Can't say enough good stuff about this, so I'll move on. Sticking in that blues vein, Junior Wells and Buddy Guy, drinking TNT and smoking dynamite. It's a recording of their performance at the Montreux Jazz Festival in the 70s sometime. Great album. And funnily enough, when we were listening to this, I think it was either Buddy or Junior, we were talking to the audience and said how great the response was in Europe compared to the response in the States, which is really sad. But, you know, blues never really got a foothold in the States on a massive level the way the British blues did. So the OG American blues masters had a somewhat tougher go of it. But yeah, this is a great record. And Bill Wyman, Pine Top Perkins, Dallas Taylor, and Terry Taylor round out the lineup. Sounds fantastic for some good old electric West Side soul sounding Chicago blues played in France. Sticking with the blues. This is the Ann Arbor Blues Festival, 1969, Volume 1. I also have Volume 2 that will be showing up on a future Spin Zone. This was pressed by Third Man Records, and it covers, you know, a good portion of... This is the very first blues festival that was held in America, in Ann Arbor, Michigan, about 2 weeks before Woodstock in the summer of '69. So I did not know that. But of course, the music here is, some of it sounds pretty rough. I mean, the tapes of this show were found in a basement, you know, 50 years later. And as much as they tried to clean it up and make it sound as best as they could, some of the stuff in here is kind of hinky. I won't lie, but that's not the fault of whoever cut it and pressed it. That's just the best they could do with the material they had. So, yeah, I found these at Dusty Groove last fall. I bought both volumes and, yeah, played Volume 1. So Volume 2 will be coming soon. Still sticking in that bluesy sort of vein is Janice Joplin. I got them old Cosmic Blues again. Bought this off my buddy Dave. It's a 2i Columbia. Cleaned it up. Sounds fantastic. I don't mind Janice. She's not my very favorite artist, but it's nice to have this in my collection. I got this and I got Pearl. So I still have to listen to Pearl, but never really sat down and listened to an album of hers all the way through. So listening to all the non-radio hit songs interspersed in this album kind of gave me a little bit more respect for her, because she actually has something of a range to her when it comes to her voice. She was able to use it mostly to her advantage, and we all know that Janice doesn't have the sweetest sounding voice, but what she had, she used pretty well. Can't deny that. And this is a great original pressing of this album. Then I went to a meetup. If you watched Eric Weinbender's most recent video, I think, he talks about how him and I and his girlfriend Veronica hung out for a while when they flew into Chicago for a wedding. They wanted to see the Bean downtown, so that's where we met. And from there we went to Portillo's. She wanted to have a cake shake, so we did that, and then we got some food there and had lunch. And then from there we went to Dusty Groove, where we hooked up with Lavelle and Vance. His channel is Zep Pearl. Super friendly guys. You know, it was really nice to meet them. And of course, we did some record shopping. I didn't pick up nearly as much stuff as Eric did. What he was talking about in terms of prices being really high at a lot of these city record stores is the truth. but I did pick up a couple of things. This was one of them I just played recently. It's the Impulse Records 60th anniversary reissue of, Ray Charles, Genius plus Soul equals Jazz. It's a acoustic sound series reissue. It sounds fantastic, and I just came across it like towards the end of our time at Dusty Groove, where everyone was getting ready to check out their stuff and leave, and I was just idly flipping through the soul section, and I came across this, and I was like, ooh, give me that. And the price was probably, it was close to list price. As you can see, I still got the price sticker on it. $28.99. It's about right, I guess. So in this case, the price wasn't too bad. So this was the second release ever on Impulse Records, according to what I've been told. So, and I'm a big fan of Ray Charles. I got several of his albums. Not a lot of vocals on this one. This one is more instrumental. Ray does sing on a couple of tracks, but for the most part, this is instrumental, jazzy music as filtered through Ray Charles. So of course it's going to have some soul to it. But great record, great sounding record, and yeah, it's worth the money. Pressed immaculately. The vinyl is dead quiet. Can't say anything bad about that. So recommended if you are interested in any of the Impulse 60 reissues. Then yesterday I went on a mini spin marathon, starting with PJ Harvey. This is the brand new reissue of her 2004 album, Her. Remember hearing this, primarily the song The Letter, on the radio a whole lot. And I wanted to get a copy of this, but I never got around to it on CD. But I was waiting for this to come out, as they're going through all of her albums chronologically and reissuing them. So this is very much in the vein of her earlier stuff. Not as hard driving guitar as before, but the lyrics and the energy is still pretty much the same that PJ Harvey puts on all of her albums. So it's definitely worth a listen. And I liked it. So there. A longtime Crate resident, Jimmy Cliff. It's an album called Special. It came out in like 1983, I think. It's on the Columbia label. And it sounds like an 80s reggae album. Can't deny that. But the songs on it are pretty strong. I liked it, and I found this at an estate sale like 2 years ago almost. And I was just flipping through stuff yesterday looking for something to listen to, and it's like, you know what? I need to just pull this and spin it and see what it's all about. So that's what I did. Because I like Jimmy Cliff. I like reggae. And last but not least, celebrity deaths, just to open my statement on this last record, generally don't affect me all that much. But there have been a few over the years that truly made me sad when I heard of their passing. Probably the biggest one in the last, 5 years now was David Bowie. But before that, in like 2001, I was really sad when Joe Strummer died, when I heard that he died. This is his new collection. It's a new collection of his solo material called Assembly. It's a double album set, released on the Dark Horse Records label, which is the boutique label of George Harrison's. Nothing is wrong with the pressing. Nothing's wrong with the vinyl. Everything sounds great. And all this material is from the couple of solo albums that Joe had released. In fact, I didn't have anything of his solo in my collection, except I had a burned CD copy of Streetcore, which was the last album that came out like just after he died, either just before or just after he died. But like I said, when I'd heard that he'd passed, I was honestly sad because big fan of the Clash, and when all the members are still alive, you always hold out that hope that maybe someday things might come together and they might reunite. It never happened when he was alive, and now it's never gonna happen. So, it's just the way it goes. But if you're a fan of solo Joe Strummer, this would definitely be the one to get. If you're not interested in trying to chase down the separate albums, his solo stuff didn't really sound like the Clash all that much. I mean, there's a couple of live cuts. There's a live version of I Fought the Law in here, and there's also a live version of Rudy Can't Fail. Those are a couple of Clash songs that were included here. But overall, his sound was more kind of reggae rock-ish, if that's a decent way to describe his sound. Very good stuff. This is a great listen, and definitely worth it if you are a fan or are curious about solo Joe Strummer. So it's called Assembly, and I'd found this about a month ago when I went on a little dig with my wife, who discovered a record shop that we ended up going to. So found this. It was brand new. Sounds great, is great, and always be a fan of Joe. So there you go. 17 minutes, not too bad. All right, gonna cut it off here. Thank you all for watching. Peace. Hope everyone is doing well. And oh, here comes the cat. If you heard her meow right there. See you guys soon. Everybody take care and stay cool.